Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Mexico this hour looking to strengthen ties as both countries say they're striving to lessen reliance on the United States.
Leading the group lower, it was the worst performing sector in the S&P this session and has been the biggest drag on the market this quarter.
Energy technology company Baker Hughes on January 20th, there were 580 active oil and gas drilling rigs here in the United States. Today, that number stands at 539.
The lights are about to go out across America, and nobody saw it coming. Right now, as you're watching this, America's closest neighbor, the ally it has relied on for more than a century, is preparing to pull the plug. And no, it's not Russia, it's not China, it's Canada. What's happening isn't just another trade dispute, it's the opening act of something far more dangerous, the controlled demolition of American dominance. And the fuse, Canada just lit it. For years, Donald Trump has treated Canada like a junior partner, mocking its industries, threatening its farmers, and using tariffs as a political weapon. He thought intimidation would keep Ottawa in line. Instead, he's triggered the biggest realignment in North America since World War II. Mark Carney didn't just refuse to bow, he turned Trump's bullying into fuel for a new Canadian strategy, one that links Ottawa closer to Europe, diversifies its energy markets, and shows the world that even America's most loyal ally can walk away. Here's the brutal irony. Trump thought he was punishing Canada, but the only country facing rolling blackouts, soaring prices, and collapsing trust is his own. This isn't about dairy, steel, or taxes. This is about power. And power is shifting, away from Washington, straight into Ottawa's hands. By the end of this video, you'll see why historians may look back and say, this was the exact moment America lost its closest ally, and why Trump was the president who pushed them out the door. Here's what they don't want you to know about the country living right next to you. Every single day, while most Americans are asleep, over 4 million barrels of Canadian oil flow south across the border. That's more oil than Saudi Arabia sells you, more than any OPEC nation on earth. If Canada turned off the tap tomorrow, 60% of America's imported oil would vanish overnight, gas stations would run dry, truckers would park their rigs, the American economy would grind to a halt. But here's the terrifying part. Canada isn't just your gas station. It controls something far more dangerous: the lithium in your iPhone, the cobalt in your Tesla, the nickel inside every solar panel, every wind turbine, every green battery America needs to survive the future. Canada doesn't just supply these critical minerals, it dominates them. And under Prime Minister Mark Carney, Canada is preparing to do what Donald Trump never imagined possible: weaponize that control. Trump tried to bully Canada into submission with tariffs and threats. Instead, he may have pushed Ottawa into building the world's first real energy weapon. And this time, it's aimed not at Russia or China, but directly at the United States. Meet the man who's about to change your life forever, Mark Carney. You probably don't know his name, but you're about to. This isn't some career politician. This is the guy who ran the Bank of England through Brexit, the man who steered Canada through the 2008 financial crisis while America's banks were collapsing in flames. And now, he's standing in the Canadian Parliament with one message: America's economic dominance is over. What happened next stunned the room. Opposition leader Pierre Poilievre came in loaded with his usual attacks: deficits, spending, economic mismanagement, the same talking points that always rattled Canadian leaders. But Carney didn't flinch. He didn't defend. He went nuclear. I am a fiscal budget expert. Yes, I know that. And I know Canadian interest rates are lower than American interest rates. They're lower because this country's fiscal situation is strong. Did you catch that? The new Canadian Prime Minister didn't just push back. He declared his country economically superior to the United States, in Parliament, on the record. That wasn't diplomacy. That wasn't politics. That was a declaration of independence. For 150 years, Canada has been America's polite little brother, the neighbor who apologizes too much, the junior partner who follows Washington's lead. That Canada just died. What's being born in its place is something the US has never faced before: a resource-rich superpower done playing second fiddle, and a leader who knows exactly how to turn Trump's threats into America's humiliation. But Carney's parliamentary victory was just the opening move, because while he was humiliating the opposition in Ottawa, his government was preparing something unprecedented: a $155 billion retaliation package, not just tariffs. This is economic warfare, designed with surgical precision to hit America where it hurts the most. Your morning coffee? Taxed. Your car taxed. Your smartphone? The minerals inside it are about to be restricted. Your heating bill, your electricity, your supply chains. All of it depends on the one country that just declared economic independence: Canada. And here's the punchline. While Washington was throwing tariffs like confetti, they were quietly begging Ottawa to save them. How? By resurrecting the Keystone XL pipeline, the very same project they killed, the one that would pump 830,000 barrels of Canadian oil into America every single day. Trump's people are now demanding build it fast, immediate approvals. Think about that. They slap Canada with economic war on Monday and beg for its oil on Tuesday. It's like punching your electrician in the face and then crying when the lights go out. And then comes the insult of all insults, the suggestion that Canada should stop pretending it's independent and just become America's 51st state. One Trump ally literally said, "Canada only exists because of us. Without our subsidies, they're nothing. Therefore, they should be our cherished 51st state." But here's the part Trump didn't want the world to hear. A leaked conversation with Prime Minister Carney exposed the real game. The Trump administration knows exactly how many critical minerals we control. That's why they keep floating the idea of absorbing us. They know we hold the keys to the future, and they want to own it. And Carney isn't bluffing. Canada holds over 31 of the world's most critical minerals: lithium, cobalt, nickel, rare earths, the backbone of fighter jets, smartphones, electric vehicles, and even missile defense systems. Here's the brutal truth. Without Canada's minerals, America can't build its future, not its economy, not its military, not even its energy grid. For the first time in modern history, America is discovering what it feels like to be dependent, and Carney is making sure they never forget it. So Canada deployed their nuclear option, and it's not what you think. American companies banned from bidding on Canadian government contracts worth hundreds of billions. American alcohol pulled from store shelves across Ontario overnight. But the real weapon, export controls on oil and natural gas. Picture this, rolling blackouts sweeping the Midwest, entire auto plants in Michigan and Ohio shutting down because they can't get the heavy crude their refineries are designed for. Gas prices so high that today's complaints look like a joke. Let me make this personal. For a working family in Michigan, Ohio, or Pennsylvania, filling the tank last month cost maybe $60. Next month, $95? Heating bills, up 40%. Groceries, up 25%. Because shipping relies on Canadian energy. This isn't inflation. This is economic warfare fought in your kitchen, your car, your living room. And here's the part Trump will never admit. Canada isn't bluffing. America already imports 60% of its oil from Canada. There is no quick replacement. Not Saudi Arabia, not Venezuela, not even domestic shale. If Ottawa turns the tap, America collapses before it even retaliates. But zoom out from those kitchen tables, and the humiliation is even bigger. China is watching as America's closest ally flips. Europe is watching the so-called special relationship collapse in real time. Every friend and foe America has is taking notes, because history teaches something brutal about empires. They don't fall to their enemies. They fall when their friends stop believing in them. And right now, Trump just pushed America's most important friend into open rebellion. Mark Carney didn't just play defense. He flipped the script. And for the first time in history, Canada isn't America's quiet neighbor. It's America's executioner. We are now watching something unprecedented in modern history. The controlled demolition of the most successful economic partnership ever created. $3 trillion in annual trade. Supply chains so integrated that a single car part crosses the border 6 times before it becomes your vehicle. Electrical grids powering entire regions, shared seamlessly across thousands of miles. And now, all of it being sacrificed for political theater. Here's the crisis no one in Washington wants to admit. American refineries were literally engineered to process Canadian heavy crude oil. These aren't just big tanks you can fill with any oil. These are billion-dollar facilities calibrated to one source, Canada. Without it, they can't run at full capacity. They choke, they stall, they shut down. That means fuel shortages, heating oil shortages, industrial shutdowns, and winter, during the coldest months of the year. Yes, Venezuela has heavy crude, but it's sanctioned, unstable, and politically toxic. Saudi Arabia could pump more, but their oil is completely different, and their own economy is cracking. The brutal math? There is no replacement for Canadian energy. Not at this scale. Not at this reliability. Not at this price. America just picked a fight with the one country that literally keeps its lights on. And the humiliation doesn't stop at the border. Mexico is already drafting contingency plans. If the US can turn on Canada, its most loyal partner, what message does that send to everyone else? European leaders are openly talking about cutting dependence on American markets. Japan is accelerating trade deals with Southeast Asia. Even so-called allies are quietly hedging their bets, because Trump's tariffs taught the world the most dangerous lesson possible. American partnership is unreliable. American friendship is conditional. American power is built on threats, not trust. And Mark Carney? He just proved that trust in Canada is worth more than all of Trump's bluster combined. So what's really happening here? Why risk the most important relationship America has ever had for a trade war that's impossible to win? Because this was never about economics. It was about politics. About looking tough on TV while everything else in America, from factories to farms to finances, crumbles at home. But here's the fatal miscalculation. Canada isn't some distant rival you can bully without consequences. Canada is fused into every part of American life. You share intelligence with Canada. You share defense systems with Canada. You share power grids, pipelines, and supply chains. When you declare economic war on Canada, you're not attacking a foreign nation. You're sawing off the branch you're sitting on. And here's the truth Washington refuses to admit. Canada holds more cards in this fight than America does. America needs Canadian energy more than Canada needs American markets. America needs Canadian critical minerals more than Canada needs American investment. America needs Canadian stability more than Canada needs American protection. The entire bet was built on one arrogant assumption, that Canada would fold. Because for 150 years they always did. But Mark Carney isn't folding. He's all in. And this time Canada has the leverage. What we're watching is the end of the American century. Not because China invaded, not because Russia interfered, but because America humiliated itself by underestimating its own neighbor. Every empire in history believed it could survive alone. Every empire in history thought its allies were disposable. Every empire in history was wrong. And now the world is watching as America's closest friend, its most reliable partner, its literal next-door neighbor, proves that the emperor has no clothes. The difference? This time the emperor isn't a nation, it's Donald Trump himself. Exposed, outplayed, and humiliated on the global stage by the one man he never expected, Mark Carney. What happens next will rewrite the global order forever. In the coming weeks you're going to feel it at the pump. Gas prices higher than you've ever seen. Grocery bills so heavy they break families. Entire industries built on Canadian oil and minerals starting to collapse under their own dependence. But the real collapse isn't economic, it's trust. Because the world is watching America's closest ally walk away. And when that faith is gone, no superpower survives. This isn't just about Canada. This isn't just about tariffs or pipelines. This is about the cost of arrogance. About what happens when a country so drunk on its own dominance forgets the allies who made that dominance possible. Every empire in history has made the same mistake. Every empire thought it was invincible. Every empire learned too late that strength doesn't come from fear. It comes from trust. And right now, Mark Carney's Canada is teaching America that lesson in real time. The only question left is, will America wake up before the lights go out? Or will this be remembered as the moment the American empire finally collapsed? Smash that like button. If this finally opened your eyes to the truth Washington doesn't want you to hear, subscribe and hit the notification bell, because the next 30 days aren't just headlines, they're history in the making. Comment below, is this the end of American dominance, or the rise of a Canada that refuses to bow? And share this with everyone you know, because the mainstream media will never admit how badly Trump just got played. The collapse isn't coming, it's already here. The only question left is, are you ready for the world after America?